Welcome, Color of Success podcast family. I'm your host, Dr. Stephanie J. Wong. Check out my memoir, Cancel the Filter, Realities of a Psychologist, Podcaster, and Working Mother of Color, where I share my experiences in the realm of mental health, both professionally and personally. Color of Success podcast is streaming on all your favorite platforms and socials. Whether you're on the go or comfy on the sofa, you can tune in at your own comfort. As you know, we love growing discussions with our guests from our AAPI and ethnic minority communities. With so many friends and experts from different aspects of life, we love learning their stories and understanding what their success means to them. Let's get into it. David Lim is an Asian American actor raised in San Ramon, California, and received a degree in electrical engineering from the University of California, San Diego. He decided he wanted to do something different, signed a contract with Ford Models, and moved to Los Angeles to pursue modeling and acting. He now stars as a series regular in the CBS drama S.W.A.T. David, fellow Bay Area native, thank you so much for joining me on the show today.
Thanks for having me. What a pleasure to meet another fellow Bay Area native. It's not that common these days. Yeah.
I know, we're bonding over, going to a UC and
many moons ago. Yeah. I went to UC San Diego and Cruz.
I just visited over there. It's so wonderful. And there's so many good tacos over there.
In San Diego?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of good Mexican food. Some people say San Diego has the best. I honestly think it's hard to beat San Francisco, like the Mission, it's some good Mexican food up there.
Definitely. Well, let's get into it because you have had a journey. You went to a UC, you became a loan officer, and then you pivoted to become a model actor and a very successful one, if I might add. So how did that all happen?
So I went to UC San Diego. I studied electrical engineering. I graduated in 4 years, which I was proud of myself. It's usually a degree that can take 5 or 6. But after I graduated, I didn't want to become an engineer. Of course, I couldn't have decided that like 4 years earlier. But something was just telling me that this is not for you. But I had to get a job.
Yes.
I was sitting on my behind for a few months working on my tan, and that wasn't.
Well, you have a tan still, so that's good.
That wasn't really paying the bills. So parents, friends were like, "Dude, you got to get a job, man." And a buddy of mine sent me an article, and it was in a newspaper at the time. That's how this is way back then. For a job ad as a loan officer. And I did not know what that was, but said make $10,000 to $15,000 a month. And I knew what that was. So I was like, sign me up. And I applied for this job, not knowing anything about a mortgage. And I was actually interviewed by a young Chinese girl who was like 25. I was just fresh out of college. And she was very successful opening this new branch of Countrywide Home Loans in San Diego. And she, I guess, took a liking to me and hired me. And I knew nothing about this industry. So I learned it all on the job. Some people say 9 to 5, but I worked like 9 to 8.
Wow.
And I would pound the phones. I learned everything there was to know about a mortgage and refinancing and loans. And I became one of the top sales associates of this branch. And so definitely something I wasn't expecting to find myself in. And at the time I remember, I'm going to climb this corporate ladder and I'm going to become like a branch manager. And I'm going to work here for the rest of my life. That's what Isn't
it so simple when you're young? You're like, okay, I have some clear steps here.
That's what I thought I was going to do.
Yeah.
And then, as we all know, the housing market crashed.
Mm-hmm.
Countrywide the company was headed in the wrong direction, and my branch manager, this young, successful Chinese woman, uh, took me and a couple of associates, her top guys,
Hmm.
and went and opened up a small broker shop. And so I went with her because, I was like, this, she knows what she's doing. And this job is probably not going to be for much longer. And so I went with her. And for about a year, we worked out of this small little broker shop and was having success. I was making good money. And that's when I started to get the itch of I'm not feeling challenged. I don't want to do this forever. I don't like this hustle, this commission based job. Of course, then I get into an even bigger hustle of
Yeah, we'll get into that for sure.
of acting. I was like, I'm not doing this hustle when I'm 30. I was like 25 at the time, and so on my downtime at work, I'd pretend I was at my computer, like working, researching.
You were inventing quiet quitting before it became a thing, I guess.
Oh, that's a thing.
Quiet quitting, yeah, when people just kind of coast and they're not really as, engaged.
That makes a lot of sense. That's exactly what I was doing, and I was just online, like Googling how to become an actor, how to get into modeling, because I had no clue. I had absolutely no clue. I don't come from a family of entertainers or artists. Didn't have any friends who were in the industry, but I just knew that I was interested. I felt like I was just destined to do something else other than what I was doing. And I was watching a lot of Entourage, like one of my favorite TV shows.
Well, I was wondering what sparked the Google search because it went from
Yeah,
loan officer to that, so that makes a lot of sense.
it was some of that. I was like, yeah, that's a cool life. I can do that. And it was some of like I didn't see any Asian actors on
Yeah.
TV, and I was like selfishly, I was like, I can do that. I can change that. There's got to be a need. Why aren't there any roles for us? Or if you did see one, it was like pretty bad.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and so that's what sparked it. And I figured out all the steps you had to take. I was like, oh, you need headshots. What is a headshot? Oh, you need a photographer. Oh, you need an agent. What does an agent do? All these things. Oh, you need to get into an acting class. Well, that makes sense. And so I did it all on my own, and one thing led to another, and got into an acting class in San Diego. Got just to get my feet wet. Turns out I was like, okay, this is a lot harder than it looks. I need to learn this.
Yeah.
And got hired a photographer, got some headshots, started sending them out to a bunch of different agencies. And it was when I got contacted, this kind of sparked the move to Los Angeles. As I got contacted by Ford Models. And at the time, I had no clue who they were. I didn't know they were such a big deal
Yeah.
until I researched who I was going to meet. But they called me in for a meeting, and I went up and I met with them, and they offered me a modeling contract. And so that kind of sparked I was like, okay, now I'm with Ford Models. I'm in an acting class. I have an agent. I've made it. That's the thinking of a young, aspiring actor. Of course, there's many other steps in between, and so I would travel from San Diego to Los Angeles for some auditions, and I did that about twice. And I was like, this commute ain't
Yeah.
happening. It was like hours round trip. And so I decided to quit my job, move to Los Angeles, and sleep on someone's couch until I made it big. So that's kind of how it all went down.
Well, I love the story, and I like to take, obviously, I'm a psychologist, so I love to take the strength-based approach. And it's like you really are a learner. You're a lifelong learner. If you don't know something, you start to research it.
Right.
And clearly you're a people person. And so you really start to make connections and you're a go-getter. And so, and you have kind of moved towards the acceptance that there's a struggle and that distress tolerance piece. So that
Mm.
says a lot about you.
Oh, thank you. I'm sure you can break down all my stuff. I
Yeah.
don't think I've ever talked to a psychologist
Yeah,
before.
it's a little different. It's led me to a very interesting path. So I'm really glad that our paths have crossed because
Right.
it's always good to kind of see the different aspects of people. So
Your husband must be terrified. I'd be like, she knows. I would think you'd always know what I'm thinking.
well, I have like an off switch in a way. So, and
Oh, that's good.
he knows when the therapy speak comes out. So he's just kind of like, don't treat me like a patient. So I'm like, okay, my bad. So, one of the things that you brought up was that you moved from a hustle in corporate
Hmm.
to a hustle in modeling and now Hollywood. So, how have you seen kind of the parallels or things that you've been able to do to really cope with things like rejection or, it's not a straight path, like if you think about the corporate ladder piece that you were thinking before?
Hmm. Well, one thing about working a sales job, in particular, being a loan officer, is and just starting out is you got to pound the phones, and that's how the senior associates would get the easy leads, the call-ins. For
Yeah.
the young guys, the 21-year-old who just graduated college. I was up in early in the morning pounding the phones, and late at night I'd be calling people nonstop all day, trying to generate leads, trying to generate business, and thus, make some money. So I heard a lot of no's. And it was like no, 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 100 no's, and then a yes, and then you're like, okay, well, okay, maybe here is where I can help somebody out and make some commission. And I think that really prepared me for our industry where you get a lot of rejection. And of course, rejection it's never easy it can be heartbreaking. It can break your spirits. It can, a lot of self-doubt can creep in. Now, when I got into this industry, I kind of I had strong self-belief, and I always believed that I would find success. I always believed that I could make it. But of course, when you're hearing no and no, one after another, you can start to think, well, maybe this isn't going to work out. Maybe I should start to think about doing something else. And then you see a lot of your friends, and they're experiencing the same things. But I just felt like there was a place for me in Hollywood. I felt like there was a need for Asian American representation, especially on the male side at the time. Obviously, now things have changed and there's a lot more opportunity. And I think that self belief really carried me through a lot of the tougher times. And then of course there were times I remember I had auditioned for this role that I thought I was perfect for,
Mhm.
and I thought it was going to be my break. And I auditioned. I thought it went well. I checked in with my manager. I was like, "Hey, did we hear anything back on this role?" And he said yes. I checked in with casting. They said you were fine, but others were better. And so hearing things like that, I mean, that could make you quit. But for me, just with my background in sports and growing up and doing a sales job, going to college and having a really tough degree, I kind of took that as okay. I have to change something. Whatever I'm doing now isn't working because I was
Mhm.
perfect for this thing, but obviously I'm not where I need to be acting wise. So immediately I told my manager, I said, hey, find me another acting class. I want to switch. I need to change something because I'm not gonna if I don't get the part, I don't want it to be because my acting or my, I just wasn't good enough. I wanted to be
Mhm.
because of the other 50 reasons that you don't get a part. And so I just immediately I switched. I changed what I was doing. I had probably gotten a little lackadaisical in my studying after being in class for so many years, and that switch into another class, different mindset, really, I think, put me to the level where I needed to be to compete for the roles that I wanted. And shortly after I made that switch, I would say I got my first break, which was a show called Quantico on ABC. And just like that, I found myself on a hit show, which it was at the time, having a major part. And then once that wrapped up, SWAT came along.
Well, there's so much there. I mean, the idea that it's really hard not to internalize. Like I also I see the parallels with like sales and stuff, but like if someone says no to you, they don't want a mortgage, you're like, all right, on to the next one. You can play the numbers game. It's same where you're auditioning, but I think when you're getting like personalized feedback about your acting or your looks or whatever, I think it takes a special person to continue to say, you know what, like you took it as a motivator for growth versus, man, there's something inherently wrong with me, or and it seems like you see the bigger picture of like what you can contribute. And the fact that you're working with Shamar Moore and public facing as ethnic minorities, like
Mhm.
that's huge. Just to
Mhm.
be able to see that on screen is amazing. And so, I spoke with Peggy Lou from the Venom series recently, and she was like, I face rejection every day, and I have a good cry and then I move on. And so I think that's what you're saying, though, is that you can, understand that it's disappointing, but you have to kind of face and get back up and continue to pound the pavement. And so it really led you to some really great projects, and I'm sure even more to come. So,
Mhm.
well, switching gears a little bit, you founded this jewelry company with your wife, and it actually came out of some a tragedy, essentially, like a burglary of your home with some very sentimental um, pieces and heirlooms. And so, what led you to kind of take something that was so unfortunate and then turn it into something beautiful?
Yeah, I think just that wanting to being an optimistic person and always wanting to look for the silver lining in something, even if it's a bad experience. It's of course it's always easy to dwell on things or kind of spiral into that negativity. But I really wanted to, and it was a very heartbreaking experience for me and my wife. And they pepper sprayed our dog.
Oh my
Thankfully he
gosh.
was okay. But we wanted to turn that experience into something positive, into something creative. We decided, my wife and I, that we were not going to just replace everything that was stolen from us, but that we would make our own. We were like, let's not replace it. Let's design. Let's make our own jewelry. I've always been interested in, we're creatives. We like arts and crafts. And we've, for as long as I can remember, we've loved to travel and find handmade, unique jewelry and artifacts and bring them home. And so I wanted to do that with our experience. And so we taught ourselves how to hand make jewelry. It was therapeutic for us. It was a way to kind of fill that void of experiencing the loss. And we would wear it and gift it to friends, and our friends were always blown away at just the designs and the fact that we handmade it ourselves. And we saw how much more it meant because it was something that we made.
Mhm.
And we were like, you know what? Let's open up like an online shop. They were like, you guys got to open up an Etsy shop. But me, I'm always like, all right, we can do an Etsy shop, but can we do something like a little different or a little bigger? And we decided to open up an online store. We spent about a year, honing our craft, making inventory, doing all the business side of things that it takes to launch a company. And back in August of this year, we finally launched. We got some great reception. I was just really proud that my wife and I were able to do this ourselves amidst our busy schedules. And it's been so fulfilling. We're super excited to see where the adventure takes us. And the pieces I'm wearing
I've seen
some
some
here.
online, but they are even more gorgeous on
Um,
camera.
and they just reflect our personal journeys and our stories. And we put a lot of thought and care and love into these pieces. And we don't make anything that we wouldn't wear ourselves. And we hope that the people who buy these pieces also feel like a deeper sense of connection, whether it be their own personal journeys or a time in their life. Sometimes jewelry is often gifted for milestones or birthdays, anniversaries. And so that's what we hope to do with it. And we're excited, and we love it's our passion project.
And the holidays are coming up, so everyone
Exactly.
can go ahead to get some Maya David um, wonderful crafted pieces. So I imagine that when you started this project and this company with your wife, there must be some bonding that happens too. Like, did you see that you were able to kind of process these situations and also like experience joy together?
100%. Experience a lot of joy together in making someone's day or gifting someone's jewelry or just people buying stuff that you created yourself. And I think I got so lucky with my wife that we already complement each other so well. So now I think in business, it's great because we just bounce everything off of each other. It's not competition. It's not telling one person telling the other to do. It's just a collaboration. And we both come from jobs. I'm an actor. She is a model, where the result is very collaborative. So we're used to working with different people from different departments, understanding that by doing that, you're going to get a better product in the end. So we love working on it together. I tell her all the time. I was like, I don't know how you could do something like this by yourself. Because there are so many people out there who launch not just a jewelry company, but any company, and they're a solopreneur. They do it by themselves, and just the amount of work
It's a
that
lot.
it takes, I cannot imagine having that all on your own plate. Kudos to those people who are able to do it. But I love that I have her to bounce ideas off of, and it's something for us to do together.
Yeah, I think it's a huge learning experience. I think when I started my private practice many moons ago, it's just like you have to learn about marketing and taxes and, it's all that self-taught stuff. I mean,
Yep.
that you have to get all these resources. Now there's tons of resources, which is great, but
Right.
you're right. It's a grind in itself, and and it's amazing that you have a partner that you can trust and hey, I don't know this. Like we can look it up together.
Mhm.
So
Feel very
and
lucky.
I know. I want to know. I know we bonded off camera about like, my husband and I are high school sweethearts, so not to
Right.
get too off track, but how did you guys meet? Like, was this in an industry or did you know each other before or
We met on a modeling job all the way back in 2013, and it was this highly coveted job for Macy's. It was this huge traveling fashion show that started in Minneapolis and went to Chicago, went to Los Angeles, ended in like San Francisco, and they hired like 50 models, and but only like 15 guys. So for the guys, this was like a dream job. And I had done this show for a few years, but I was always in a relationship. And this was actually the first time I was doing this show and I was single. And so I was like, all right, I'm single, like ton of models. I'm gonna have some fun, you know. And of course, the first night I met my future wife in Minneapolis. We met. I was not looking for a relationship whatsoever. But if you meet that person who just changes your life, then you go with it. And we just ended up hanging out in every city that we went to. After we got done with the job, she's from Czech Republic. She went home to spend some time with her family, and we were texting and talking the whole time. And then as soon as she got back to Los Angeles, which is like a couple months later, we started dating. So, and the rest is history.
Well, I mean that's a beautiful thing, and especially when you least expect it.
Yeah, I think that's when sometimes when you're trying to look for something, you don't find it. And then when you're not looking for something, it's funny how life works like that. That's usually when you find it. And I wasn't looking for somebody, but I found her.
It's amazing. I hope she watches this piece and like you guys have a good like bonding experience. But balancing or what I like to say, harmonizing, personal, you have a business, you're acting, and self-care is such a big buzzword phrase, etc., however you want to put it. But I'm curious how you take care of yourself and still kind of manage all of these aspects of your identity in your life.
Yeah, it's a lot. We both have a lot on our plate. And like I mentioned to you earlier, we want to have kids. I'm like, dang, we're gonna add kids into this mix. But I know that it'll be beautiful and we'll find a way, as we've always done, to manage everything. So, for me, it's a lot about routine. I know that if I get my workout in, I'm going to feel better about my day. Even if it's a day with a lot of things on the plate, I'm like, I know I'm going to feel better if I do this. I'm going to find a place to get it into the schedule. Because I just know that's going to anchor my day, and I'll feel better and I'll feel more productive. Um, so yeah, it's a lot of to-do lists, making sure that we, manage our time well, and we're not wasting time on tasks that don't need to be, spent. You don't need to spend that much time on. We can do that super easily. You get going on one thing, and then it ends up taking you 2, 3 hours, and you didn't need to spend that much time. So I think it's definitely, you got to have your schedule, you got to plan. And then I think, our lives are so busy and we work so hard and I spend so much time on set. You have to make time for, as you said, like self-care. Whether for us that's traveling, that's, spending time with our dog and going hiking and just not, putting the work down. Um, but we're relatively young. We still like to work hard. I'm like, what, there'd be plenty of time to rest later on. But I'm all about, hustling and but also prioritizing. I know SWAT and acting is for me the priority career wise. I know this Maya David jewelry entrepreneurship is a passion project. So, things that are related to SWAT are going to take precedence over some of these other things. So,
You're talking about prioritization, which is key to pretty much a lot of things in life.
yeah, and you got to prioritize your wife. You always have to, all right, make sure she's happy. Happy wife, happy life.
100% agree, if not 110%. So, I guess before I bring my mom, aka Grandma, known on TikTok, what would you like to teach your future children as you head into maybe your next chapter in life? Because you've talked a lot about things you learned. But especially as a mom, I'm always curious as to like what are some priorities that you'd want to like transmit to them?
My parents instilled hard work into me at a very young age. So I really don't know. I never knew anything else other than if you want something, then you have to work for it. Nothing is going to be given to you, and nothing really has been given to me. I've always had to work hard for whatever it is that I wanted, and sometimes the results aren't always, what you had hoped for. But I feel there's a lot of lessons in the journey of putting in the work, going after something that you really want, even if it doesn't work out. I knew that if acting didn't work out, I knew I was going to learn something by chasing this dream, with and giving it everything I had. Thankfully, it has worked out, but it just as easily might not have. It's not an easy. Not everybody makes it, right? So I think, for me and our future kids, it'd be, instilling the values of hard work, but also just being a kind person and a good human. I'm sure you hope your kids turn out like that. And I don't know yet because I'm not a dad just yet. I'm sure I'll learn along the way. But I think that would probably be the one thing I would try to instill in them. I'm like, hey, you want this allowance? You're gonna have to work for it. You're gonna have to wash my car, right? Do something.
You sound like me. Hey, you want to use your money to buy this dollhouse? Like, let me tell you about like the breakdown.
Yeah.
So I think, I think it'll be nice to have this kind of recorded and you can kind of look back on it for sure. It goes by so fast. I know that's a cliche, but once it happens, it'll be a blur.
Yeah.
So I will call my mom in 1 second. So thank you.
Oh goodness. Hi. Hi.
Hi, Mama.
How are you? I'm
I'm
your
good. How you doing?
I am so I don't know, my stomach's got butterflies in there.
No, come on.
Oh yes, you don't even know how glued I am to the TV Friday with you guys.
Oh, that's
Woo! The
cool.
last episode, you were so fantastic. You finally get a girlfriend after Bonnie.
Oh, thank you so much.
I
Yeah.
know, I know. How do you like being on the show with all those, pow, 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 pow,
Well, I always tell people this was the stuff that I was doing as a kid. I was
Really?
playing cops and robbers, and
Uh-huh.
and now we get to do it as adults, as actors. So for me, it's a dream job. We get to chase bad guys, get into fights, blow things up. We get the girl at the end.
Yes,
So
exactly.
I love being a part of the show, and I know my castmates feel the same. And I think that's part of the reason why, we've had the success that we've had and why we've had such a nice and long run. Now we're in our eighth season. So
Yes,
I love
yes.
it. It's a lot of
I'm
fun.
so glad. So glad my daughter was able to interview you today. I was sitting outside and I tried to listen in, but I talk a lot, so I didn't want to interrupt. And she
Oh,
gave me
interrupt all you want.
no, she gave me the opportunity to be on here for a few minutes. I'm so like ecstatic. And how
That's
do
so
you
cool.
enjoy being in the show with Shamar Moore?
Shamar is like a big brother to me.
Wow. He could be
He
my
is
big brother too.
Yeah, he's a lot of people's big brothers or a lot of people's crushes. He's a great guy. He's a true leader, not just of in SWAT, but also as the actor, of our show. He's a goofball. We have a lot of fun. We talk a lot of smack on set,
Oh, it's so
and we
much
work
fun.
hard. And for me, he's been a mentor, and given me a lot of advice, and I look up to him. And we've had so much fun working together for the last 8 seasons. It's like we went to college together, and then we went to grad school together, that's the analogy we use because we've spent so much time on the same show.
Whoa, no wonder he's your big brother. Whoa,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, we're
Wow.
all very tight on and off the screen. And I think because, we're all friends off the screen, it kind of translates
Hmm.
on screen as well.
I was sad when I saw Luca go bye-bye, and you're taking over Big Betty.
Yeah, I know. We lost characters, we welcomed new ones,
Hmm.
and it's been definitely like an emotional coaster because you feel like you lose,
Hmm.
not just a character on the show, but also a friend, in real life that you've come to love and you've worked with so closely for so long.
Yes. Well, it was a pleasure talking to you. Can I call you Officer Tan?
Officer 10.
Yes,
Yes,
SWAT.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
I want to
best
play that.
spot.
He drives Big Betty or my daughter. Okay.
Yeah, and there's a new episode tonight.
Yes, I know. I'll be glued.
All right.
Okay. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me. Take
So
care.
nice to meet you. Thank
Okay.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for making an old woman's dream come true.
Oh, she was so sweet. She has some good questions.
I mean, I have to catch up on the show, and I'm like, please don't tell me, please don't tell me. And she you could see why she went viral on TikTok because she's just adorable and she says the funniest things. So you made me Daughter of the Year. Thank you so much. I
Oh, sweet. I'm
appreciate
glad
you.
I could help.
So I guess to move forward to wrapping it up, I'm wondering if you can do all your fun marketing to promote the show or the jewelry line and all that, and where people can tune in and also purchase things for the holidays as well.
Oh, well, let's see. You can tune into SWAT every Friday on CBS. We air at 8 p.m. And in the new year, we'll move to 10 p.m. on Fridays. But we're also streaming. You can stream the first 7 seasons on Netflix. You can watch us on Paramount Plus for all the young bucks who don't watch network television. You can follow me at David Bradley Lim. That's all, handles everywhere. And our jewelry is company's called Maya David. Our website is shopmayadavid.com. And you can also follow us at Shop Maya David. And we're going to do a fun thing for the holidays coming up soon where you'll get a gift with your purchase. We're always looking for fun ways to give back, and holiday gift giving and jewelry giving can be an emotional thing, and we want it to be special.
David, thank you so much for joining me and again making my mom's dream come true. She's gonna be happy for the whole holidays. So thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Stephanie. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you for listening. We would love for you to subscribe to the podcast and join our community on all our socials at colorsuccesspodcast.com. Looking forward to you checking out my memoir, Cancel the Filter: Realities of a Psychologist, Podcaster, and Working Mother of Color on Amazon and wherever books are sold. I'd love to hear your Cancel the Filter moments.